many decisions do you think you make each day? If you ask the internet, the answer will range from 70 to 35,000. If you ask us, it's the wrong question to be asking at all. That's because we are interested in ethics. We're not concerned about the quantity of your decisions. We care about their quality. You might want to think of ethics as a tool that helps us create the difference between a good decision and a bad one. Ethics is the branch of philosophy that asks the practical question, what should we do? This leads to the study of things like values, principles, beliefs, and norms. These are the things that shape our choices. Ethics asks us, how should we live? What choice should we make? And what makes our lives worth living?
Hi everyone, I'm Everland Libera. I'm a fourth year BSIT student and I will discuss to you all about ethics. So what are ethical theories? Before I answer that, I will first define what ethics and theories are. So ethics concerns not just what we do, but what we ought to do, while theories can be identified as a formal statement that explain a particular issue. So overall, ethical theories are formal statements about what we need or ought to do when we face with an ethical dilemma. An ethical dilemma is a problem in a decision-making process between two possible options. So what are the things we need to do in difficult situations? So for example, it is wrong to lie. But what if that lie could prevent hurting someone or hurting someone's feeling? So what will you choose? To lie in order not to hurt someone or not to lie but ended up hurting someone? And another example, if there is a house on fire and then 10 people that are trapped inside and the firefighter needs to go in, but it would put his life in danger. Are you willing to sacrifice one individual in order to save 10 people? But what if that firefighter is your dad, your mom, or someone close to you? So it's so difficult to choose. So in this situation, this is where ethical theories came into play, because ethical theories are ideas that help us decide which actions are good and bad by guiding us to ethical choices to bring positive outcomes for everyone. So with so many ethical theories out there, which one do you think will help you or be useful to you? Of course, that depends on a person's perspective because everyone has their own perspective. So to prepare for unethical decision making, it can be essential for us to learn how to differentiate between morals and ethics. So ethical theories and moral theories are closely related, but I will explain what the difference between the two. So ethical theory are focuses on following rules or guidelines, while moral theory are focuses on deeper reasons why an action is right or wrong. For example, is a student who is about to take an exam. In ethical theory, the student knows that there is a rule against cheating. So the right thing to do is not to cheat because it is the rule or law that must be followed. In moral theory, on a deeper level, the student might ask themselves why cheating is bad. They might realize that cheating is wrong because it's unfair to other students who studied hard. So in this case, in ethical theory, the student knows cheating is wrong because there is a rule against it. While in moral theory, the student understands that cheating is wrong because it's unfair and does not demonstrate a good character. But what about those people who know it's wrong but they still do it anyway? So here comes the idea of no one knowingly does wrong. So Socrates believed that all wrongdoing stems from ignorance. When people commit wrongful acts, it's because they don't fully understand the consequences of their actions. So they might think that they are doing something beneficial or justified, but in reality, they are mistaken. Because if a person has a true knowledge and understanding of what is good, they will automatically be inclined to do what is right. In other words, with proper knowledge, one cannot knowingly choose to do wrong. It is possible for a person to be moral but not ethical, or ethical but not moral. I will give you an example of moral but not ethical. For example, I stole some money and I will give it or donate it to those who in need. So I believe that my actions are morally justified because the stolen money is being used for a good cause, helping those in need. But my way of helping is not ethical. Even if the stolen money is used for a good purpose, the act of theft is unethical because it involves harming others or breaking the law. And unethical but not moral, for example, in the case of the lawyers. So a lawyer might define the client they personally believe is guilty of a serious crime. So ethically, the lawyer is required to provide the best possible defense for the client, as per the rules of their profession. However, they may feel morally conflicted because they believe the client is guilty and should be punished. So in this case, the lawyer is acting ethically according to the standards of their profession, but it may conflict with their personal and moral beliefs. So the distinction between being moral but not ethical or ethical but not moral highlights how personal beliefs and external standards can conflict. So one theory that might be applied in this situation is relativism. So one of the common ethical theories. So relativism plays a role in these conflicts by emphasizing that moral and ethical judgments can vary depending on individual, cultural, or professional perspectives. There are two particular kinds of relativism: subjective relativism and cultural relativism. First, subjective relativism. What's right for you may not be right for me. For example, consider the issue of the marriage bill here in our country. So it is a law that guarantees universal access to methods and informations of birth control, maternal care, and sexual education. So some Filipinos agree with this while others do not. So a person who opposes the marriage bill may believe their instance or may base their instance on the religious belief that the use of contraceptives is wrong. Other people worry that the widespread access to contraceptives and sexual education may encourage early sexual activity among youth. Or some are complaining that funding for reproductive health programs will be an additional expense for the government. So on the other hand, a person who supports the marriage bill may believe that this is right because it provides freedom and protection for the health of families. So both sides are correct according to their own beliefs. So the point is, everyone's perspective on the marriage bill aligns with their personal beliefs. And that is the essence of subjective relativism, that what is right and wrong can be varies depending on who is thinking. Second kind of relativism is cultural relativism. I will give you an example of cultural relativism. It's the F2 epidemic. I know most of us can relate to this, especially to those BSIT students. So during the early 80s, in ITE, Information Technology Education classes, so students used programming language like Pascal or BASIC on DOS systems. So the F2 key was used to save files, and it became common for students who successfully solved a programming problem to share their code with the entire class. So this practice spread like an epidemic because once one student had the correct code, it quickly became available to everyone. So the cultural norm at the time and even now was that if a student figured out the correct code and didn't share it, so they would be labeled as selfish and face severe criticism from their classmates. So that students felt that they had no choice but to share their work. So this scenario reflects how cultural relativism can shape behavior in educational settings. So they were compelled to share because that was the group expected, illustrating how cultural norms can sometimes conflict with principles of fairness and personal responsibility. Now, we will proceed to the second common ethical theory, which is the divine command theory. So right is right because God commands it, wrong is wrong because God forbids it. So the divine command theory is an ethical theory suggesting that an action's morality is determined solely by whether it aligns with the will of God. According to this theory, what is right or wrong is not based on human reason or logical argument, but simply on whether God commands it or forbids it. So the holy books such as Bible, Quran, or Torah serve as moral guides outlining what God expects from people. So the core idea of this theory is the obedience to God's will. People are expected to follow moral guidelines because they are divine instructions, without questioning or needing to understand the reasoning behind them. For example, respecting parents is considered morally good, not because it benefits society or it is logically sound, but because it is command from God. So this highlights that in divine command theory, morality is not about human judgment, but about following God's instruction. I will give you an example. You know the story of Abraham and Isaac. So in the Bible, God commanded Abraham to sacrifice his son, Isaac. So Abraham obeyed this without question, but God stopped him at the last moment, rewarding him for his obedience. So this story emphasizes that in divine command theory, morality is based on obedience to God's will, regardless of human logic. So Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac shows that in divine command theory, moral actions are defined solely by God's command, even if they appear illogical or morally challenging by human standards. And that concludes all of my discussion. And I hope you have learned from what I discussed, especially regarding relativism and divine command theory as common ethical theories. Bye!